The large doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. High Commander Zextor of the Navarine Empire walked in with 4 armed guards. His blue scales shimmered under the bright lights as he moved to the speaker's platform. The 200 representatives from different planets fell silent. Even the usual whispers stopped. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Zextor said, his voice deep and confident, "the Navarine Empire officially announces our plan to expand our territory by bringing the planet called Earth under our control." The chamber stayed quiet for 3 seconds. Then came the noise. Some representatives laughed. Others turned to their neighbors with confused looks. A few tapped quickly on their data screens. "Earth, the isolated planet in the outer arm?" asked a representative with green skin and 4 arms. "Why would you want that backwater world?" Zextor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Our studies show Earth has valuable resources and a good position for our next expansion. The native species are primitive and will offer little resistance." Elder Representative Clithax rose slowly from his seat. His body was mostly smoke contained in a special suit. He had been part of the council for over 500 years. "I would strongly advise against this action," Clithax said, his voice like rustling leaves. "There have been incidents with humans before. They are not what they seem." This caused more laughter among the younger representatives. "With respect, Elder," Zextor said without much respect in his tone, "Earth humans barely have space travel. They fight among themselves constantly. They have no unified government or defense. Our intelligence shows they would be easy to conquer." Clithax's smoke body darkened. 3 civilizations have attempted small-scale contact with Earth in the last century. None had positive outcomes. The reports are sealed, but as an elder, I have read them. Humans are unpredictable. In the upper observation section of the chamber, a figure listened quietly. John Adams wore the plain gray robe of a non-member observer. His face showed no emotion as he made notes on a small device. Only occasionally did a small smile cross his lips. A representative with butterfly wings fluttered nervously. "What about the non-interference protocols for developing worlds?" "Earth is classified as Level 3. The council leader, a tall being made of crystal, spoke next. "The protocols suggest we should not interfere with developing worlds. However, they are not binding laws for independent empires. We can vote to formally discourage this action, but we cannot stop it." Zextor nodded. "The Navarine appreciate the Council's concern, but our decision is made. Our invasion fleet is already preparing. We expect to have control of Earth within 1 standard month." Elder Clithax sank back into his seat. "You have been warned," he said softly. The Council descended into debate. Some argued for stronger action to protect Earth. Others claimed humans might benefit from Navarine rule. Most simply didn't care about a distant, primitive planet. In a room behind the main chamber, technicians set up large screens. "Are the observation feeds ready?" asked the supervisor. "The Council wants to document the invasion." "All set," answered a technician. "We have satellites positioned to record everything. Though I don't know why anyone would want to watch. It will be over quickly." Back in the chamber, John Adams quietly stood and walked toward the exit. The blue-skinned representative stopped him. "Human observer Adams, your planet will soon be under attack. Are you not concerned?" Adams smiled slightly. "We've been watching the stars for a long time, waiting for contact. The Navarine have made their choice." He paused. "I only hope the Council is prepared for what comes next." "What do you mean?" the representative asked. "You'll see," Adams said as he walked away. "History is about to get very interesting." As the Council continued to argue, the Navarine invasion fleet entered lightspeed, heading toward Earth. None of them knew they were about to make the greatest mistake in their empire's history. The Navarine fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. Their massive ships moved silently through space, hidden by technology that made them invisible to radar and other detection systems. Supreme Battle Leader Vexnar stood on the bridge of the command ship and looked at the blue planet on the main screen. "Such a simple world," he said. "Prepare the diplomatic vessels. We will give them one chance to surrender before we show our power." On Earth, it was a normal day. In the skies over the Pacific Ocean, Navy pilot Kate Miller flew her regular patrol route. Her jet cut through the clouds as she hummed to herself. "Base to Eagle 4, how's the weather up there?" crackled her radio. "Clear skies and smooth flying," Kate replied. Then she saw something strange. A shimmer in the air, like heat rising from hot pavement. "Wait, I'm seeing something unusual at 2 o'clock. Going to check it out." Kate turned her jet toward the strange disturbance. As she got closer, the shimmer grew larger. Suddenly, a ship appeared. It was like nothing she had ever seen. Silver and smooth, with no visible engines or windows. "Base, are you seeing this?" Kate called. "I've got an unidentified craft. Definitely not one of ours. Eagle 4, we show nothing on radar. Are you sure?" Before Kate could answer, the alien ship fired a warning shot. A beam of green light passed just in front of her jet. "I'm under fire," Kate shouted. Years of training kicked in. She rolled her jet and dove down, then pulled up sharply. The alien ship tried to follow but wasn't prepared for such simple yet effective maneuvers. Kate got behind the ship and fired her missiles. They hit the alien craft, causing damage to its rear section. Black smoke poured out as the ship wobbled in the air. "This is impossible," said the Navarine pilot inside. "Their weapons should not be able to harm us." In orbit, Supreme Battle Leader Vexnar received the news with disbelief. "A single primitive aircraft damaged one of our scout ships." "How?" "Sir, it seems their pilot used tactics our computers couldn't predict. Our systems are designed to counter advanced technology, not whatever this was." Vexnar slammed his fist on the control panel. "This is unacceptable. We will show them our strength. Target the small island in the sector they call Micronesia. Make sure it's uninhabited. We will destroy it as a demonstration." The Navarine ships positioned themselves and fired powerful beams at the target island. It disappeared in a flash of light and smoke. The response was not what they expected. All across Earth, governments that normally fought with each other suddenly began working together. Emergency meetings were called. Military forces were placed on high alert. Within hours, a united command was forming. In the White House Situation Room, the president looked at the advisors around the table. "We are facing an enemy not from this world. But they have made a critical error. They think we will be easy to defeat. We will prove them wrong." Back in the Galactic Council, representatives crowded into the observation room. The screen showed Earth's rapid organization against the threat. "I've never seen such quick adaptation," said one representative. Elder Clifax floated at the back of the room. "I warned them. Humans have an unusual ability to unite against outside threats. The Navarine have awakened something dangerous." John Adams, the human observer, stood quietly in the corner. When a representative asked him about Earth's response, he simply said, "This is just the beginning." In space, more Navarine ships arrived around Earth, preparing for a full invasion. They still believed their superior technology would bring quick victory. They did not understand that on the planet below, humans were already finding ways to fight back. The first contact had been made, and it had gone terribly wrong for the invaders. 1 week after the alien ships appeared, the world had changed. Cities around the globe now had strange silver ships floating above them. The Navarine had expected humans to give up quickly. They were wrong. General Alan Wright stood in the underground command center, looking at the maps on the wall. Red dots showed where the aliens had landed. Blue dots showed human forces. "They expect us to fight like they do," he said to the room full of military leaders from different countries. "That's why we won't." Instead of facing the aliens directly, Earth's armies broke into small groups. They hit quick and then disappeared. They attacked supply lines instead of main forces. They used the land they knew well against enemies who didn't. In her lab at MIT, Dr. Samantha Lee hadn't slept in 3 days. Her team worked around a piece of metal from a downed alien ship. It wasn't like any metal on Earth. "Try the new frequency," she told her assistant. They aimed a device at the alien metal. This time, it glowed softly. "We did it," Samantha said, her tired eyes now wide. "This is how their shields work. If we can understand it, we can find a way through it." Across the country in a small town in Arizona, construction worker Frank Reyes gathered with his neighbors in the high school gym. "They don't know our town like we do," he told the crowd. "My crew has been digging tunnels under Main Street. When their patrol comes through tomorrow, we'll be ready." The aliens never saw the attack coming. When their patrol vehicle passed over the weakened road, it collapsed. The aliens were captured before they could call for help. Similar stories played out in towns and cities everywhere. People used what they knew. Farmers, hunters, teachers, and office workers all found ways to fight back. In the Galactic Council chambers, more and more representatives came to watch the Earth feeds. What had started as entertainment was becoming something else. "How long have the humans been fighting?" asked a new arrival. "Just 1 week," answered another. "But they fight like no species I've ever seen." A junior representative from a small system laughed. "I bet they won't last a month." An older member turned to him. "I'll take that bet, but I think you'll lose." Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., high school science teacher Linda Johnson stood in front of military officials. Her students had made a discovery. "The aliens communicate on these frequencies," she explained, showing a chart. "We found it by accident during our radio club meeting. If we broadcast strong signals on these same frequencies, we can jam their communications." The officials looked at each other in surprise. A simple school club had found a weakness the best military minds had missed. In orbit, the Navarine command ship faced problems. Supreme Battle Leader Vexnar could not understand what was happening. "How are these primitives causing so much trouble?" he shouted at his officers. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." His second-in-command spoke carefully. "Sir, it's not their technology that's the problem. It's how they think. They don't follow any military doctrine we understand. Each group fights differently." "They're animals fighting on instinct," Vexnar said. "No, sir," corrected his intelligence officer. "They're adapting. Deliberately. And they're learning about our technology very quickly." Back in the council chambers, Elder Clothax watched the feeds with growing concern. The humans weren't just surviving. They were getting stronger every day. Human Representative John Adams stood beside him. "Your people fight well," Clothax said. "We've had plenty of practice," Adams replied. "We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. Now we have someone else to fight." "The Navarine don't understand what they've started, do they?" Clothax asked. Adams shook his head. "No, and by the time they do, it will be too late." On Earth, the resistance grew stronger. The Navarine had expected an easy victory. Instead, they found themselves in a fight they weren't prepared for, and humans were just getting started. 3 weeks into the invasion, the Navarine were facing problems they never expected. Their supply ships were under constant attack. Small, fast human boats would appear, fire weapons, and then vanish among islands or into narrow rivers. Earth's different weather and terrain made things even harder for the aliens. On a cloudy morning, Dr. Samantha Lee stood in front of a group of military leaders. Behind her was a strange-looking device made from both human and alien parts. "We call it the shield breaker," she said. "It sends out a pulse that disrupts their protective shields for about 30 seconds. That's enough time to hit them with conventional weapons." General Wright picked up the device. "How many of these can you make?" "With the parts we have, maybe 100 by the end of the week," Samantha said. "We're using old microwave parts and cell phone components. Simple stuff, but put together in a way the aliens never thought of." Across the country in Silicon Valley, computer programmer Steve Collins led a team that worked day and night. They had captured an alien communication device and were trying to break into it. Their computer security is good, Steve told his team as they stared at strange symbols on their screens. But they never expected humans to try hacking them. They have no protection against some of our older methods. After days of work, they broke through. Suddenly, they could hear and see the Navarine communications. They could even send fake messages. We can make them think their ships are getting orders to go to the wrong places, Steve said with a tired smile. They won't know what's real and what's not. In the Galactic Council observation room, the crowd had grown so large that they had to open additional viewing areas. Species that normally showed no interest in other worlds now watched the Earth feeds constantly. Look at how they're using the weather, said one observer as they watched humans launch an attack during a heavy storm. The Navarine sensors can't function properly in those conditions, but the humans know exactly where to go. Council historian Vox Trill, a tall being with skin like parchment, recorded everything he saw. I'm calling this record the Earth Anomaly, he told the others. No Level 3 civilization has ever responded to invasion like this. On the Navarine command ship, Supreme Battle Leader Vexnar sent an urgent message back to his home world. We need reinforcements. These humans are not fighting according to any known patterns. Our losses are significant. The reply was not what he wanted to hear. Your failure has caused unrest at home. Many question why we are wasting resources on this planet. Fix this problem quickly or be replaced. Vexnar smashed the communication device in anger. How could he explain that humans kept changing their tactics? How could he explain that they were now using modified Navarine technology against them? On Earth, in the middle of Wyoming, Farmer Joe Peterson led a small group through mountain paths. They carried simple hunting rifles, but also wore vests made with pieces of alien material that blocked Navarine scanners. Their patrol comes through this valley every day at the same time, Joe told his neighbors. They think we're just simple farmers. Let's show them how wrong they are. The ambush was perfect. The alien patrol never saw them coming. Another Navarine ship captured, another group of aliens taken prisoner. Back in Washington, the president met with leaders from around the world on a secure video call. Dr. Lee's team has made another breakthrough, he told them. We can now jam their long-range communications. They can't call home for help. In the Galactic Council, Elder Clithax approached John Adams. Your people have survived much longer than anyone expected, he said. John smiled. We haven't just survived, Elder. We're getting ready to push them back. The real fight is just beginning. Clithax's smoke-like body swirled with concern. The Navarine will not accept defeat. They will escalate. So will we, John said simply. That's what humans do. 2 months after the invasion began, humans were ready to fight back in space. Captain Lisa Morgan stood in front of 20 pilots inside a secret mountain base. Behind them were ships that didn't exist 2 months ago. These are not normal spacecraft, she told them. We've taken commercial rockets and added technology from captured Navarine ships. They won't be pretty, but they'll fly. And they'll fight. The pilots looked at the strange vessels. Parts of Earth rockets mixed with alien technology. They were ugly but powerful. Our mission is to take out one of their command ships in orbit, Lisa continued. They don't expect us to attack in space. That's our advantage. That night, the hybrid ships launched under cover of darkness. They rose through the atmosphere, engines burning blue-green fire. Navarine sensors detected them, but the aliens were confused. These weren't the primitive Earth vessels they knew about. Unidentified craft approaching, reported a Navarine officer on the orbital command ship. They don't match any known Earth technology. Before they could react, Lisa gave the order. All ships, fire now. Beams of energy hit the Navarine command ship from multiple directions. The aliens scrambled to raise shields, but the attack had caught them by surprise. Explosions bloomed across the massive alien vessel. Direct hits, shouted one of the Earth pilots. Their engines are damaged. The Navarine command ship began to drift, trailing debris and fire. For the first time, humans had successfully attacked the invaders in space. On the ground, General Wright ordered the first major counteroffensive. Earth forces moved against Navarine ground bases using weapons that combined Earth materials with alien power sources. "They've studied our every move," said a Navarine commander as his forces retreated from yet another lost position. "They adapt too quickly. They take our technology and find ways to use it we never considered." In rural areas, the aliens faced constant trouble from people who knew the land. Farmers directed resistance fighters through hidden paths. Hunters tracked alien patrols with skills passed down for generations. Even children helped by watching and reporting alien movements. In the Galactic Council chambers, the mood had changed completely. Species that once mocked humans now sent their best military analysts to study the observation feeds. "The humans have moved from defense to attack in just 2 months," said one analyst with awe in his voice. "No other Level 3 civilization has ever done that." Several trading guilds approached John Adams quietly after the council session. "Your people have shown unexpected qualities," said the representative of a powerful merchant alliance. "When this conflict ends, we would be interested in discussing trade agreements." John smiled politely. "First, we need to make sure the Navarine understand they've made a mistake." In orbit around Earth, Supreme Battle Leader Vexnar watched with growing horror as his forces lost ground every day. The humans had destroyed one of his command ships and damaged 2 others. His ground forces were being pushed back on all fronts. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his officers. They were primitives just using chemical rockets and simple digital systems. "Sir," said his intelligence officer carefully, "they learned faster than any species we've encountered. And they're fearless. They'll try tactics that seem suicidal but somehow work." Vexnar stared at the holographic display showing Earth. So small, so blue, so seemingly harmless. How could its people be causing such damage to the mighty Navarine Empire? Back on Earth, in a lab built inside a mountain, Dr. Samantha Lee put the finishing touches on a new weapon. It was small enough to fit in a backpack, but powerful enough to disable a Navarine ship. "The next phase begins tomorrow," she told her team. "We're not just defending anymore. We're taking the fight to them." Around the world, humans prepared. What had started as desperate resistance had become something more. They weren't just fighting to survive now. They were fighting to win. And in the Galactic Council, Elder Calithax watched with growing certainty that the humans would do just that. 3 months into the war, humans began to use a new weapon against the Navarine: information. In a secret bunker under Chicago, radio operator Maria Garcia led a team that listened to alien communications day and night. "We don't just listen anymore," she told her team. "Now we broadcast." They began sending messages on Navarine frequencies. They shared real information about Navarine losses and supply problems. Alien soldiers heard how bad the situation really was. Many began to doubt their leaders. "This is not what we were told," said one Navarine soldier to another as they huddled in a damaged ship. "They said humans would be easy to defeat. They said we would be welcomed as heroes back home. Now I hear our leaders are thinking of leaving us here." Doubt spread through the alien forces like a virus. At a university in Boston, Dr. William Harris worked with captured Navarine prisoners. As a cultural anthropologist, he studied how they thought and what they believed. Each Navarine belongs to a specific caste, he explained to military leaders, and each caste has its own fears and taboos. We can use this knowledge against them. Earth forces began creating scenarios that the aliens found deeply disturbing. They used sounds that upset Navarine nervous systems. They displayed symbols that represented defeat and shame in Navarine culture. "It's not just physical warfare anymore," Dr. Harris said. "It's psychological." The aliens struggled to understand human tactics. When they expected humans to defend important buildings or resources, humans sometimes abandoned them instead. Then they would attack somewhere else entirely. In one city, the Navarine took control of power plants, expecting humans to fight desperately to hit them back. Instead, people simply switched to backup generators and solar panels, while the military hit the aliens' fuel supplies. "I don't understand them," said a Navarine commander. "They don't value what we expect them to value. They give up resources we think are important, and then fight to the death for things that seem worthless." What the aliens didn't understand was that humans valued adaptability over specific resources. They could live without electricity for a while if it meant winning the larger war. In the Galactic Council, the Navarine ambassador faced hard questions. Representatives from worlds that once ignored Earth now demanded answers. "How much longer will this invasion continue?" asked one. "The conflict is affecting trade routes in that sector. The Navarine Empire is fully committed to this action," the ambassador said, not meeting anyone's eyes. "Victory is still expected." Elder Calithax made a sound like distant thunder, his version of laughter. "Your empire has never faced defeat before. Perhaps that is why you cannot recognize it now." Several council members began working on proposals for what would happen after the invasion failed. How would Earth be classified? What rights would humans have in galactic affairs? On Earth, a team led by Steve Collins made another breakthrough. They had fully cracked the Navarine communication codes and could now listen to everything, even the most secret messages. "They're planning to bring in 3 more battle cruisers," Steve told General Wright. "But there's something else. Some of their commanders are thinking about using banned weapons, planet killers." The general's face turned grim. "Then we need to step up our timetable. The next phase starts now." That evening, as darkness fell across North America, hundreds of small teams moved into position. Each carried devices created by Dr. Lee that could disable Navarine technology. Their mission: take out the aliens' communication centers all at once. In orbit, Supreme Battle Leader Vexnar received disturbing news. "The home government is considering withdrawal," his political officer said quietly. "This invasion has cost too much already. Public support is falling." "Withdrawal," Vexnar hissed. "That would be the greatest shame in our history. No, we will escalate. Prepare the special weapons." On Earth, Captain Lisa Morgan prepared her space fleet for its biggest mission yet. "Tomorrow, we take the fight to their main ships," she told her pilots. "We show them that humans don't just defend. We win." The next phase of the war was about to begin, and it would shock the entire galaxy. 5 months into the invasion, the Navarine Empire faced a day they never expected: a major military defeat. Their main landing zone in North America came under attack from all sides. Colonel Ben Clark led international troops in a coordinated assault that the aliens couldn't stop. "They expect us to use their tactics," Ben told his soldiers before the battle. "So we'll use our own instead. We'll fight like our ancestors did when they were outnumbered but not outmatched." The human forces moved like ghosts through forests and destroyed city blocks. They used tactics from old Earth wars, but enhanced with new technology. They attacked from directions the Navarine didn't watch, and at times the aliens didn't expect. By morning, the alien base was overrun. Hundreds of Navarine soldiers were captured. Even more of their ships were now in human hands. In orbit, the situation was just as bad for the invaders. Captain Lisa Morgan commanded Earth's first real space fleet. 20 ships built with a mix of human ingenuity and stolen alien technology rose from secret bases around the world. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," Lisa ordered. "Hit their engines first, then weapons." The Earth ships moved in ways that confused Navarine targeting systems. They were crude by galactic standards but unpredictable. The aliens couldn't lock weapons on them. "How are they doing this?" screamed a Navarine commander as his ship shook from another hit. "Their technology shouldn't work this way." What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had taken alien tech and changed it. They didn't follow the rules because they didn't know the rules. They tried things the Navarine thought were impossible or too dangerous. On the Navarine homeworld, the High Council met in emergency session. Reports from Earth showed disaster after disaster. "We must send more ships," said one council member. "We cannot accept defeat." "We've already lost too many," said another. This invasion was a mistake from the beginning. Finally, they made a decision that would change Navarine history forever: partial withdrawal. Some forces would return home, while others would stay to defend what territory they still held. When the orders reached Earth, many Navarine commanders couldn't believe it. Some refused to obey. Their empire had never retreated before. "I will not leave," declared one commander. "I would rather die fighting." "Then you will die," said his second-in-command, who took control of the ship and prepared to leave orbit. All across Earth, the invaders began fighting among themselves. Some wanted to keep fighting while others wanted to go home. Their once perfect discipline broke apart. In the Galactic Council chamber, the mood was one of shock. Representatives watched open-mouthed as the mighty Navarine Empire fell apart before their eyes. "This is unprecedented," said the council leader. "No Level 3 civilization has ever defeated a Level 9 invader. We must reconsider everything we thought we knew about species development." John Adams, the human representative, finally stood to address the full council. All eyes turned to him. "For centuries, you've classified worlds based on technology level," he said in a calm voice. "You thought that was all that mattered. But there are other kinds of advancement: courage, creativity, the will to survive against all odds." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various representatives. "Humans have been fighting each other since we first picked up stones. It's our greatest weakness, but when faced with an outside threat, it became our greatest strength. We know how to fight. We know how to adapt. And most importantly, we know how to win." In space around Earth, Captain Morgan's fleet surrounded the last major Navarine battle cruiser. Its commander had refused all orders to retreat. "Final warning," Lisa transmitted to the alien ship. "Surrender or be destroyed." "Navarine do not surrender," came the reply. Lisa sighed. "All ships, open fire." The battle cruiser exploded in a ball of blue-white fire. With it died the last hope of the invasion. On Earth, people began to rebuild, but they also prepared. Using captured alien technology, humans were advancing faster than any species in galactic history. They weren't going back to being a simple Level 3 world. They were becoming something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. And in the council chambers, the debate began about what that would mean for everyone else. 6 months after it began, the invasion of Earth was over. The Navarine Empire formally announced its withdrawal from the planet. Their losses had been so great that their position among galactic powers was now in danger. Reports from their homeworld told of protests in the streets and calls for new leadership. Earth had changed forever. Cities damaged in the fighting were being rebuilt with new materials and technology. Scientists studied captured alien ships and weapons. The leap in human technology was like nothing seen before in the galaxy. In what was once the United Nations building in New York, now partly rebuilt with alien metals, world leaders met to discuss Earth's future. "We need to stay united," said the American president. "We fought together, and now we must move forward together." For the first time in human history, countries that had been enemies for centuries agreed. The experience of facing an outside threat had changed everything. Old fights seemed small compared to what they had just faced together. They created a new global government called the United Earth Council. It would handle relations with other worlds while letting countries keep control of their own affairs. General Wright and Captain Morgan were named as the first leaders of the new United Earth Defense Force. In orbit, humans began building their first real space station using Navarine technology. Soon, they would have ships that could travel to other star systems. Earth was no longer alone, and humans wanted to be ready. In the Galactic Council, a historic vote took place. Earth would be reclassified, jumping from Level 3 to Level 7 in a single move. No world had ever skipped levels before. "This is unprecedented," said the council leader. "But these humans have proven to be unprecedented themselves. The Council also issued a formal apology for not stopping the Navarine invasion. Some representatives suggested that the Council's own rules had failed and needed to change. John Adams stood before the full Council again. The room was completely silent as he spoke. On behalf of Earth, I accept your new classification. I also accept your apology. Now we have a proposal of our own. He paused, looking around the Grand Chamber. Earth has been offered membership in your Galactic Council. We appreciate the offer. But humans think differently. We believe there is room for a new kind of alliance in this galaxy, one based not on technology level, but on shared values and mutual respect. Gasps filled the chamber. No new contact world had ever refused Council membership. It wasn't done. Are you suggesting humans would form their own competing alliance? Asked the Council leader, voice filled with shock. Adams smiled. Not competing. Complementary. Earth wishes to establish the Sol Alliance, open to any world that values freedom, innovation, and cooperation. We invite any Council members who share these values to join discussions with us. The Council erupted in noise. Some representatives were outraged. Others were intrigued. A few immediately approached Adams to express interest. Later that day, in the Council archives, the newly appointed Council executive watched recordings of Earth's first official embassy ships leaving their solar system. The ships were beautiful, combining the best of human design with advanced alien technology. The executive turned to Council historian Vox Trill, who had documented the entire Earth conflict. Do you think the other powers realize what has been unleashed? The executive asked. Vox Trill looked thoughtful. They will soon enough. The question is not whether humans will join our galactic community. The question is whether we are prepared to join theirs. Throughout the galaxy, news of Earth's victory spread. Dozens of species scrambled to establish relations with humans. Trade offers poured in. Some worlds even asked for protection, seeing Earth as a rising power. The Navarine Empire began to fall apart as different factions fought for control. Their defeat by a primitive world had shattered their reputation forever. A common saying began to spread from world to world. Never invade Earth. It was part joke, part serious warning. Humans had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again.